of the second chapter, that is the evolution of the earth. In case of the previous days, we have read about the origin of the earth also, where we have seen the theories are present regarding the origin of the earth and the other planets. Today we will start evolution, that means how the different layers of the earth forms. Actually, we know that in case of the earth is a layered structure. We are having atmosphere, we are having hydrosphere, as well as we are having lithosphere also. Now today our topic of discussion is how this lithosphere evolved, how this atmosphere formed, or how the hydrosphere formed. The meaning of the lithosphere. What is lithosphere? Lithosphere means the earth crust as well as the upper part of the mantle. We know that the interior of the earth having crust, mantle and core. But what is lithosphere? The upper part of the earth, that is the crust, as well as the top part of the mantle, both are together called the lithosphere. Atmosphere, you all know the meaning of the atmosphere, the outermost layer of the earth, the outermost layer of the air, that is actually called the atmosphere. And hydrosphere means all the water bodies are present in the world comes under the hydrosphere. Now how these things forms, that we are going to discuss. So start with the first one, that is formation of the lithosphere. Now in case of the earth, whatever earth you can see on your present day, the earth was not as same in the early time also. At the beginning of the formation of the earth, during that period, the earth was mostly in a volatile state. Now what does it mean, volatile state? It means that it was in a almost liquid form which can easily evaporate. The geographer said that that period was known as primordial stage. Primordial stage means it is at the very beginning stage. In that time, earth was in a state of the volatile. Now this time the temperature inside the earth, it was very high and it was gradually increasing also, as well as the density also increases gradually. Now because of the high temperature and because of this gradually increasing density and all, it happened that whatever materials are present at the earth, those materials started getting separated according to their densities. Lastly also I told you that if in a bowl or if in a bucket you will put some stones, pebbles and small pebbles and all, so according to the density only they will sink down. So the same thing happened during the formation of the earth. They said that all the heavy material, that means the iron, nickel and all, they sink down in the core. All the lighter material they place in the upper part. All the most lightest material, they move at the top part of the surface of the earth. And gradually with the time, with the passage of the time, this thing cools down. This thing became solid. And later on, the development of the crust mantle, these things occur. This is the basic thing the scientists said about the evolution of the lithosphere. They said that the temperature of the earth was very high, as well as density also gradually increased. That time the earth was in a volatile state. So due to this liquid like state only, what happened, whatever materials are present in the earth, they started separated according to the density. We all know the larger density mass that will go inside. So the things which is made up of the iron or nickel, this kind of the material, they are going at the center of the earth, that means the core, and the lighter materials remain at the top part. With the passage of the time, the temperature decreases. These things became solid and condensed into a smaller size. And it is later developed the outer surface of the crust. Now in this process, the scientists added one more thing. Actually, in this time when moon forms, we have already read about the theory of the formation of the moon. In that theory, we have seen that the collision occurred. That was the giant impact or the big splat. Due to that collision, again the temperature of the earth was increased, and due to this heating up only, the whatever earth forming materials are present like this nickel, iron, basalt, aluminium and all, these things again got separated according to their densities. In this way, generally the core, mantle and crust form. This is a very known picture to all of you. This is the part of the core, that is the central part of the earth. The outer part was the mantle and the last part it is the crust. This is divided into two parts, inner core and outer core. You all know that this inner core is made with nickel and aluminum. That means all the heavier material during the formation of the lithosphere, they move down. And this area is made with the aluminum basalt, this kind of the lighter material. So in this way, the lithosphere formed. Now we are going to discuss about the evolution of the atmosphere and hydrosphere. Now in case of the atmosphere, presently in the atmosphere you can see we are having huge amount of the oxygen. We are having huge amount of the nitrogen gas, as well as in case of the atmosphere you can see now we are having huge amount of the good amount of the carbon dioxide, as well as rest of the gases are also present like helium, hydrogen, neon, argon, and all the gases are there, but that is in a very small quantity. But at the beginning of the earth, at the very beginning stage of the earth, the composition of the atmosphere was not like this. At the present, whatever composition of the earth we can see, that time we don't had this kind of the thing. Presently we are having mostly nitrogen and oxygen, but earlier at the beginning of the atmosphere we had mostly hydrogen and the helium. So that means the atmosphere also changes due to the passage of the time. Almost the earth formed before 4.44 billion years ago and all. So, or 4.46 billion years ago. So from that time to present earth, the atmosphere has been changed. So the changes occur in some stages. The evolution of the atmosphere, the changes, we have divided the changes into three parts. The first stage of the change, the second stage of the change, and the third stage of the change. The atmosphere has been changed into three stages. There are basically three stages of the evolution of the present atmosphere. The first stage. The first stage is marked by the loss of primordial atmosphere. The first stage is marked by the loss of primordial atmosphere. Now, what is this primordial atmosphere? The meaning of the primordial atmosphere is, in the early atmosphere, when the earth formed, that time only, earth was full of hydrogen and the helium gas. So this condition was called primordial atmosphere. And in the first stage, loss of primordial atmosphere occur. It means that the hydrogen and helium gas, it was stripped off from the Earth's surface. And how it is stripped off from the Earth's surface? Due to the solar wind. Because we know all the inner planets, that means the Mars or Earth, this kind of the planet, they are nearby the sun. So whatever winds are coming outside from the sun, which we are seeing as solar wind, due to the contribution of the solar wind only, this hydrogen and helium gas stripped off from the Earth's surface. And this has happened in case of all the terrestrial planet, that means Earth-like planet only. And because of that only, we don't have in our Earth huge amount of the presence of the hydrogen and helium gas. This is the first stage of the atmosphere formation. Basically, atmosphere was full of hydrogen, helium. Due to the solar wind or due to the pressure of the solar wind from the early atmosphere, this hydrogen and helium gas stripped off. And this is not only happened in case of the Earth, this also happened in case of the other terrestrial planet also. Now in the second stage. What happened? In the second stage, from the interior of the Earth, that means from this core, mantle, these areas of the Earth actually contributed to the evolution of the atmosphere. Now, how they contributed to the evolution of the atmosphere? During the second stage, during the time of the cooling of the Earth, different gases as well as the water vapor, they were released from the interior surface, because gradually the temperature of the Earth started decreasing. And when this temperature of the Earth started decreasing, at that time, what happened from the interior of the earth, different gases as well as the water vapor, it started released from the interior of the earth only. And this was the period of the actual evolution of the atmosphere. In this time, in the atmosphere, water vapor added. In this time, in the atmosphere, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, this kind of the gases added in the atmosphere. This was the second stage. And the process by which the gases were outpoured from the interior of the earth, the process, it's called degassing. You will find a term in your book, it is written degassing. Degassing, it's actually a process by which from the interior of the earth the different gases comes outside. And what are those gases? Mostly carbon dioxide, nitrogen, methane, some amount of the oxygens were there, as well as the water vapor. Now as well as they said that the continuous volcanic eruption also occurred at that time. Due to this continuous volcanic eruption, this also contributed different gases as well as the water vapor also. Whatever carbon dioxides were present in the atmosphere, those carbon dioxides now dissolved in the rainwater, and this is the further, because of that only more amount of the rainfall occurred in the earth's surface. Now this rainwaters, it was collected in the depressions of the world. Now what is this depressions? Depressions means the low-lying area. Earlier it was a barren land where the ups and downs are there. This low-lying area now fulfilled by the rainwater, and because of this fulfillment of the rainwater, what happened? Because of the fulfillment of the rainwater, now the water bodies of the earth forms. This is the formation of the hydrosphere. Now when the rainwater got collected in this depression, this formed the oceans actually. Almost the ocean were formed 500 million years after the formation of the earth. Now in this ocean only the life created. The first life was created in the water only. Now from here only, due to the photosynthesis process, the oxygen forms, and after the formation of the oxygen only, your entire structure of the atmosphere has been done. So this is about the formation of the atmosphere and hydrosphere. Basically, if I will sum up the thing, what will happen? There were three stages of the formation of the atmosphere. The first stage was known as the loss of the primordial atmosphere. The primordial atmosphere was made up of hydrogen and helium gas. Due to the solar wind, this hydrogen and helium gas stripped off from the Earth's surface. And in the second stage, what happened? In the second stage, degassing occurred. That means from the interior of the Earth, maybe due to volcanic eruption or maybe due to the other reasons, when the temperature was started decreasing, the water vapor as well as the different gases like carbon dioxide, methane, these gases, nitrogen released from the interior of the Earth. So it forms the atmosphere. And afterwards what happened? Rain started in the world. This carbon dioxide dissolves with the water vapor, rainfall started, condensation occurred, rainfall started. This rainwater got filled or collected in the low-lying areas or the depression of the Earth's surface. By this way, the ocean created. Now in this water only the first form of the life created, and over there only the oxygen started, like oxygen creation started. And in this way your entire atmosphere also formed.